April 4th, 2015, had a great show here at the O. Man, I'll tell you something, we had basically two co-main events, and I'll tell you something, we had a major development in our Heroes vs. Villains show coming up.
That's right, PK. I'll tell you something right now. April 4th was one amazing night, amazing matches, great things going on. Of course, me being here, of course, is also another wonderful thing.
Depends on who you ask.
Oh, you know, everybody, PK. Everybody.
Well, Joe, our first match was Ken O'Sullivan versus Wasabi for the Generations title.
That's right, PK. I told you, so it was one incredible match. We had Wasabi versus I call him the Belfast Brawler, the Irish Tough Man. And I'll tell you something, he did retain his title.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you something, it was a very interesting match. We're talking about two guys with two very different styles.
Absolutely.
You got Wasabi, who's very technical, and then you've got Ken O'Sullivan. He's got moves, but man, he's more, like you said, he's more of a brawler. But of course, you know, we didn't get to see who really came out on top. Because who comes out? Wasabi, the fake Wasabi, I call him Wasabi, and Scorn came out, and they attacked basically Wasabi initially, and then Ken O'Sullivan, because Scorn wants his title back, because he was a Generations champion, but he is no more. And, you know, ultimately, unfortunately, it was ruled as a no contest. But Ken O'Sullivan, who did a good job, I'm sorry, but that's all, folks, did get to retain his title.
That's right, PK, and I'll tell you something. You know what? I can't wait to see Ken O'Sullivan get his hands on Scorn. Because you know what? He's Irish. He's a brawler. You know, I'll tell you something about those Irish people. They all love to fight. They all love to drink. You know, they all love to eat potatoes. And I'll tell you something. You know that Ken O'Sullivan is going to take care of them and then celebrate by having a potato and listening to some U2.
Folks, the opinions of these commentators do not reflect the organization of the OSWA. Anyways, on to our next match. We had Deadly Instincts, which is made up of Jamar Anderson and Keith Cage, versus Rod Bolt and Kit Bryson. I'll tell you something, Joe, that match did not end how I expected it to end.
Well, you know what, PK? I think it ended the way it should have ended. You know, that's the thing. It was an incredible match. Things are going fantastic. And then suddenly, Kit Bryson decides to be the hero. Decides to try and take all the action for himself. And so, Lightning Rod Bolt, the great one, decided to teach him a lesson. You know, I call it tough love. Decided to leave him on his own and show Kit Bryson what it means to be a team player by him not
being a team player. Very good, Joe. Anyways, here's what happened. So Kit Bryson goes to tag in Rod Bolt, and then Rod Bolt just basically jumps off the ring apron. So then at which point, Jamar Anderson and Keith Cage hit him with their finishing maneuver, called what they call the deadline, and they got the win. And then after that, after they walk out, Rod Bolt returns with his lawyer. I don't even like to say his name.
Percival Tobias Benson III, PK, Esquire.
So then of course, you know, our ultimate champion, English pronunciation, Jake Hughes comes out, and they wind up beating up Kit Bryson, which I thought was just totally uncalled for.
Well, you think it's uncalled for, but you know, they're toughening Kit Bryson up, you know? I mean, they're hardening him up. Kit Bryson will thank him in the long run.
Well, Joe, then we had Johnny Walker. He came out, and he was being interviewed, more or less, by Michael Gentry.
Oh,
and then Michael Gentry, all of a sudden, he turns the mic over to him, and he calls out the Monster Z.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's Johnny Walker complaining, I hate bullies. And then suddenly he goes as far as to call Monster Z a bully, just because Monster Z is doing his job and decimating all those wrestlers.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you something. He called him out. It was a fight in the beginning where Johnny Walker was actually getting the advantage. All of a sudden, man, the Monster Z, he just turned it on and he devastated Johnny Walker.
He devastated Johnny Walker, left him just lay waste, left him in the ring, and took off. That's what I love about the Monster Z. He takes care of business.
Well, Joe, after that match, our commissioner, Mr. Marinelli, he came into the ring and was making an announcement. All of a sudden, he was interrupted by White Trash.
That's right. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. Mr. Manischewitz, or whatever his name is, Mr. Bertinelli, you know what? He does a great job and all that, but you know what? Sometimes I think he talks a little too much, and so White Trash had to come out there and take control.
Wow, Joe, you accusing somebody of talking too much, it's very interesting.
I'm not saying that Mr. Massachusetts, I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or nothing like that. I'm saying, you know, maybe, you know, Mr. Ben and Jerry's talks a little too much, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, Joe, the bottom line is, well, Garrison comes out with White Trash, and this time Jimmy Lee wasn't here because he was out looking for Bobby Popham. And so when he comes out, he basically says, hey, we'll take anybody on. And who comes out? The tag team of Completely Awesome, Zach Daniels and Chad Silva, two former Ultimate Champions.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. There's one man who truly impressed me in that ring, in that match, and that was Cody Fairview.
And Joe, I was very impressed with Cody Fairview. He did most of the fighting for White white trash, and he was also pinned.
Yeah, he's also.
So I was impressed that he was pinned.
No, PK, give me a chance. I mean, he took the lion's share of that battle. He probably took 90+% of the fight on the side of white trash because Jimmy Lee couldn't make it. He shined tonight. He may have lost, but he went down swinging, and he gave Completely Awesome a complete fight. Well, they had to fight for their victory.
Well, they had to fight for it because, they were choked by a chain, they were hit by a crowbar.
So
you're right.
PK.
I'm sorry, Joe, my LASIK surgery outweighs your sunglasses during the dark. I agree. So then, Joe, ultimately, though, they hit they hit Cody Fairview with what they call the flat line, their finishing maneuver, and they didn't get the win. Then after that, we had a tag team title match. The Cousins of Destruction, Will Caution and Jackson Carter, versus two guys that interrupted our show last week, Tower and Chad Wood.
Tower and Chad Wood, I am so glad to see them here at the OSWA. Those guys are amazing. We got Tower, 7 feet tall, size 20 boot, or whatever that is.
I mean, Joe, this guy's boots, it had so much leather on it, I could have, resurfaced my whole couch.
That's right, PK. I tell you something, that guy is huge, and him and Chad Wood just went to town on the Cousins of...
Well, Joe, I'll tell you something.
Disaster.
Joe, the Cousins of Disaster, I think they held their own pretty well. Chad Wood and Tower did a good job of isolating.
Will Caution took beating after beating after beating after beating, PK.
Well, Joe, the tide of the match was about to turn when all of a sudden, who comes out? Of course, we had Jamar Anderson and Keith Cage come running out, and they start attacking the Cousins of Disaster. And then all of a sudden, while they're attacking them, Tower and Chad Wood, they start also attacking the Cousins of Disaster. Well, then they look and they say, wait a minute, you guys just interrupted our title shot.
Yeah.
So then at which point, they lay waste to Deadly Instincts, leaving them both flat on the mat. And to be honest with you, I was glad to see it because they interrupted a good match.
And ironically, I think that the Cousins of Disaster should thank Deadly Instincts because, if it wasn't for them interrupting the match, I think they would have lost their titles.
Well, Joe, maybe you can send a thank you card on their behalf.
Well, you know what? No, I don't think so. Because, I wanted to see Tower and Chad Wood get the championship.
Well, Joe, then we had our final match, Jake Hughes versus Curtis Coleman versus Most Improved Wrestler 2014, Adrian Phillips.
Stop it.
In a triple threat match for the Ultimate Championship. And man, what a great match. I'll tell you something. I think all three of these guys held their own very well. But ultimately, Jake Hughes hit Curtis Coleman with a little Talofa Lava, a Samoan slam, and wound up getting the pin. And then all of a sudden, the video clicks on. And there's a video of Alpha McFly. And then all of a sudden, we learned something, Joe. We learned that Alpha McFly and Johnny Pinhead are the same guy.
Yeah. Alpha McFly, like I said this whole time, he's a con man. Who is he to hide behind some other moniker? Claim he's from Russia. I'll tell you something. That just goes to show that he's not some space or time traveler or some Voyager or whatever he is. He's just another man, and he's just another con man.
Well, Joe, he came into the ring. Jake Hughes turned around. It was way too late. He winds up laying waste to Jake Hughes, taking him down, knocking him out.
That spear was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
That spear, I've never seen a spear like that before. I'll hand that to Alpha McFly.
Well, Joe, I got to say something. After that match, I had a chance to talk to Mr. Marinelli, and he has something he'd like to share with us. So I'd like to invite him once again to the recap.
Oh.
Mr. Marinelli, how are you? Doing well?
Hey, Mr. Manischewitz.
It's a privilege for you right there, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll tell you something there.
Yeah, good.
Well,
so tell me,
Mr. Milwaukee.
You and I were talking before, and you brought back Alpha McFly.
I did bring back Alpha McFly. When they brought me in, Bobby Popham brought me into this organization for a reason. And it was to, I don't know.
Come on, Mr. Boysenberry, you can.
Do you cut that or just goes? Just to go with it?
Yeah, of course you go with it.
I'm sorry. I'm not as good as you guys. Anyway,
you can try.
He brought me in for a reason, to turn this organization around. So I worked hard as I could to get Alpha McFly back here. And that's exactly what I did, and I'll continue working hard to make this organization what it needs to be. We're tired of the villains running this organization, and that's what's going to happen. This guy's next.
What? Well, Mr. Mayberry, what do you mean? What do you mean calling me a villain? What the heck is that about?
Well, Joe, I'll tell you something. We've got one more guest here for the recap, and that is, of course, Alpha McFly.
Oh.
From the future, from the year 2069, the man himself, Alpha McFly.
Is that me? That's me?
So, Alpha, tell us what you got.
That's right. I just gotta do one thing real quick, and that's I love Russia. You know, I mean, I pose as a Russian guy. It's like this. Yo, I must break you. So I probably don't do a good Russian accent, but
pretty good
but
drawing,
that, you know,
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he's
it's
like
better
the
than
saint from
it's
Val
better
Kilmer.
than, better than this guy, I guess. But yes, Commissioner Marinelli brought me back. I didn't know if I was wanting to come back or not. I had a lot of soul searching to do. You know, whether I went back in time or I didn't go back in time. You never know. I guess you just have to watch the stuff and figure it out for yourself. But the fact is, Jake Hughes has been running his mouth and running rampant around the OSWA for the last 2 months. So I laid and waited. I took on somebody else. I was Johnny Pinhead, the Russian that has the mask on. And then I waited for my time. And the time was tonight. For some reason, Jake thinks he's got a big head. You know, he thinks he runs the place around here. He wants to be kind of a duty butthole or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it. But I got news for you. I want Mr. Commissioner Marinelli to come back in here for a second. Okay, you see this right here, Jake? This is what you call family, okay? I've known this guy for a long time. I've known him for forever, okay? I thought I knew you. Turns out you're just like everybody else. But that's okay. I know what's important to you. You know what's important to you? That belt. And May 2nd, Heroes and Villains, I'm coming to that ring and I'm going to take what's most important, and that's the Ultimate Championship. See you in 4 weeks.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you this much. We've lost the masked Muscovite, but we have gained a new Ultimate Challenger for the Ultimate title. And folks, we look forward to seeing you April 18th, and we will see you in 2 weeks. You can follow us at OSWAentertainment.com. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/OSWAentertainment. Also, Facebook.com/OSWAentertainment. We look forward to seeing you again, and we appreciate everyone's support. Have a good night.
Whoa, this is it. This part coming up.